Welcome back to the 700-level show. We're now joined by professional gamer, Dubby. Is that a good way to put it?
That's perfect.
Now also Madden 2017 champion. You go to the Super Bowl, they have all you guys play some Madden. I mean, take me through that whole process.
The whole process was you got to play online. You know, we do this is what we do. We play Madden all day. You know, we play online to compete and get to a point where you become one of the top 16 people. And they flew us to the Pro Bowl in Orlando, so we got the opportunity to go to Florida in the middle of the winter, which was always great. Meet a bunch of NFL players and everything, compete there. In the final 16, I was able to get to the Final Four. The next weekend, they flew us to the Super Bowl that weekend, able to compete for $75,000 that weekend at the Super Bowl.
Not a bad weekend, not a bad weekend at all. Go to the Super Bowl, win 75 grand,
yeah,
not too bad.
It worked out.
In talking to a lot of professional athletes, you always want to know the moment they knew that they could compete on the big stage. When did they know they were pro ready? Did you have a moment when you knew you were ready?
I mean, the moment I remember, it was actually Madden 08, and it was actually in Philadelphia. It was 4th and Arch. It was at a Holiday Inn. It was called Players Bowl. They used to throw these way back in the day, and I remember this was my first year competitively playing Madden in Madden 08, and you know, when you get there, you recognize all the players that you know from playing Madden. The Problem, the Big Jeans, everybody was in there. You know, and I actually made it to the Final 8 there, and I knew I belonged, and people started recognizing me, and that was, 10 years ago. You know,
wow.
To this day, I still do it.
Well, now, was Madden 2017, was that your first victory?
Of that magnitude, you know, win $75,000, yeah, absolutely. Of course, you know, win mom and pop things all over, you know, but this one was the first to really put you on the map, a Madden Challenge champion, and no one can ever take that away from you.
Now, this happens a lot with younger players, even athletes. I mean, we had a guy, Wendell Smallwood, gets drafted, nobody heard of him, gets drafted by the Eagles, and then people start going through his Twitter, and they start seeing old tweets. You had a problem like that as well. What have you learned from that past experience?
I learned that I've made mistakes, you know, the stuff that you can't take back, and you got to, you know, bear the burden of that and accept the responsibility for the actions you made, understand why they're wrong, and understand, be ready to answer questions, be ready to stand, you know, face the music, and realize that those are mistakes you're not going to make in the future and learn from them.
Now, of course, Madden 2017 afterwards, EA, they came down on you just a little bit. There was a fine involved. You've moved on from that. Is there anything you're still carrying with you after all that happened?
Not at all. I feel like what happened to me was great for everybody that plays Madden, especially on this level. You know, once they start holding us responsibility for our actions, you know where they want to take the game. You know what they want from us, and that's what they expect of us. And honestly, I'm glad it happened to me and nobody else, you know, because I'm willing to take that burden for the betterment of professional gaming.
Good for you. What's the next tournament? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, this year has kind of died down. There's no more majors, you know, and essentially my goal in the next couple months here is to make revenue off of the game without having to win tournaments. You know, do content on YouTube and Twitch and all this, and make an avenue for myself where it's not as stressful, not as much pressure on myself to continually win, because you know that's hard. You know, so eventually that's what I'm going to try to build in, and then you know, Madden 18 is a blink of an eye away, and I'm going to put the same amount of effort as I did this year in the Madden 18.
So right now you have I assume you have like a day job?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What's your line of work, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I actually work for my father. We have a family business. I take care of trees, so I climb trees and I do manual labor all day. So, and it gets a little hard. I tell everybody, once you have, you know, X amount of money in the bank, you're sitting there and you look at it, and do I got to wake up at 6 o'clock and go cut down trees? And it's really not that much fun, but you know, you still got to do it. You know,
it's humbling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, of course, as Eagles fans, we're paying attention to what happened in the offseason. Howie Roseman, Joe Douglas added a lot of talent. Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith. So when you look at that, everything that goes on in the offseason, are gamers paying attention to that, because that can have an impact on your game, new weapons, just like Carson Wentz. Are you paying attention to that?
Oh, absolutely. We pay attention to every player. As Madden players, we know every player in the NFL, their numbers, their college, how long they've been in the year. Are they fast? Are they tall? Are they strong? Stuff like that. It means a lot. You know, for the Eagles, last couple of years, they haven't had many weapons. You know, but now you add a Torrey Smith and you add Alshon Jeffrey, and of course even LeGarrette Blount. You know, you get a 4th and goal on the 1, you need somebody to bang that in. You know, so it all adds up. But I can tell you, even all the players that got drafted, from Sidney Jones, he'd help us out, the fast corner and stuff like that. You know, we all pay attention to that.
And you get to use him right away. He's not injured in the game.
Oh yeah. Yep,
So it's not like he's sitting out a year.
Yep. Nobody's sitting out. Right? Use Sidney Jones right away. We start him up, so we're looking good.
I like this game already. This is pretty interesting. Do you feel like, because it is a worldwide thing, do you feel like, as a guy from Delaware County, that you're representing the Philadelphia area when you go out and play in these games?
Oh, that's all the time. You know, they give you the opportunity to wear what jerseys you want. Of course, I'm always pick the Eagles jerseys. I could never play in a jersey that's not the Eagles jersey. Actually, what happened in Orlando in the Final 8, I was playing a guy from New York. You know, his name was Hollywood, and he wearing the Odell Beckham jersey all around. You know that as an Eagle fan, Odell Beckham is like the devil, and you just despise Odell Beckham. So you know that was in my head, and you know I was a big underdog in that game. And like I told you, Philly has a lot of history in Madden. So before the game, they're piping up this Philly versus New York, Philly versus New York. Something about all the old Madden players from Philly, you know, they're still into the game. They all called me and said, wish me luck in that particular matchup against the New York guy, and I was able to win. You know, and actually got on stage and said I'll never lose to a man in an Odell Beckham jersey. You know, and that was a big victory for me. I couldn't lose that for myself and for the city of Philadelphia.
Dubby from Delco Professional Gamer stopped by here, the 700 Level Show. Thanks so much. We'll be back with more in a few.